Right, so let's have a look at some blockchain analysis for finding transactions. So here's our blockchain here. So in this case, we have a Genesis block. This is block 1, and then there'll be a hash associated with this too. Then a block can have transactions, or it doesn't have to be. So the miners can mine on a certain time limit and then create a new block, even though there hasn't actually been any transactions. So in this case, there's 2 transactions in block 1. There's 1 transaction here. Each transaction will have its own hash, transaction hash, based on the Kitcha 256 hash method, and there'll be a certain difficulty associated with that for creating that hash that the miners have to achieve. So that difficulty is typically set up when we create the Genesis record. Okay, so there's a block hash that the miners create for each block, and then hopefully they'll get a consensus on what the blockchain should be, so that all the miners will be up to date with the actual current blockchain. Okay, and each transaction will have the block hash that it's associated with. And then when a new transaction comes along, the miners will capture it and then compute. They'll compete with each other to compute the new hash. And when they've found it, they'll be able to add that onto the existing blockchain and then hopefully create a consensus around this. So in this case, there's a couple of new transactions, new hashes, and we'll add on the block hash. Okay, so let's see how this actually works. Okay, so let's go ahead, and we've got our blockchain started up here. And we'll get this running. Just attach that. Right, so you've got 2 options here. One is that you can create, so this isn't a contract, this is a function that we're writing to make it easier for our code, and it's written in JavaScript, which will allow us to run within our blockchain analysis. Okay, so the 2 methods that we can do here is that we can create a JavaScript file and then we can load it up. So let's do that. And we'll call it find transaction. Okay, so in this case what we'll do is we're creating a function. We'll pass in the ID of the account, the starting block that we want to mine, and the end block. And this code here will find each of the transactions within inside each of the blocks. If we want, we can try with a star if we want to mine any account. So what we'll do is we'll get that set up, and we'll just save that. Okay, and then we'll just load up our JavaScript. Find trans. Okay, so that's that set up. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to call up the function, this one here, with the first account, and from block 1 to block 20. Okay, so in this case there is only 1 transaction. Here it is here, so there's the transaction hash, and there's the block hash. So this is the block hash that we've got, and we'll see the block number is block number 1. And we can see it was from our account to another account, and the value was 100,000 there. There's the gas value. Okay, and it tells us exactly when the time was of the transaction, and it's obviously on our blockchain. So what we'll do now is that we'll look at 1 to 40. So the current block that we're up to is 5,181. I don't have the miners on just now, so you're not seeing this updating. So this was the last one that we have here. So look up to 40. And we've only got one transaction up to there. So we'll try 60. And in this case, we have a second transaction appearing at block number 45. And again, it was a transfer of the cryptocurrency from this account to this account. And again, it was 100,000 there, and it gives us the date, 27th of June, 8:54. So there was about 2 minutes in between each of these transactions. Okay, so in this way we can actually go through all of the blockchain and pick off our transactions. So the next thing we'll do is we'll print the transaction in a nice pretty form. So rather than create our JavaScript file, so we could do that, we can also just paste in the function here. And then we'll go and find the transaction. So I think the transaction hash for the first one there is that one. Okay, so BF, just let me check, print transaction hash, this one here. Okay, so if we wanted to print this transaction, we can search for it with our transaction hash. So in this case, what I'll do is I'll just copy that. So it's going to call up this function that we've just loaded up into our console, and we'll have a look at that transaction in more detail, and there it's there. Okay, so in this way we can actually mine through the whole of the blockchain and finding all our related transactions, and then we can actually go and look at the detail of it. So in this case, this transaction here, there's the ketchup hash there, 256. There's the block number that it's associated with. We can see what the transaction was there, and what the value was, and what the gas value is. Okay, so in this way we can actually mine right through the blocks. So the next function that we're going to look at is to be able to look at the number of transactions in each of the blocks. So just to show you this, so I'll go for block find. In fact, what I'll do is I'll put it into this JavaScript file that we had before, just to show you that it's possible to add more than one JavaScript function, and then to reload it again. So we'll just load it back in again. That one. Okay, and then what we'll do is that we're going to check the number of transactions within inside each of the blocks that we have. Okay, so it's going to mine there. So we can see there is block 1 that we found, and block 45 was the I think was the other one we found here. So the next transaction, there's 2 transactions in block 68. Just take us a little minute to be able to find up to that. Okay, so maybe we can actually have a look to see what the transactions were in 68 there. that it's there. Okay, so in this case it's a contract. Here it's compiled code. The other ones were a transaction of cryptocurrency, where this is a contract that we've added in there. Okay, and we can actually see who it's from, and you see it's null here because it's not transferring cryptocurrency, it's purely a contract. Okay, and there's the time, and there's the gas value there that we set for it, and it's in block number 68. Okay, so if you're interested, have a look at the code associated with it, fairly standard code, but this is the way that we would typically go and mine through our block.